Welcome to John's Tarot. This isn't fortune telling, it isn't prediction, and it isn't about escaping the ordinary. This is a space where we slow down long enough to notice structure in our lives, in our history, and in ourselves. The symbols don't tell us what to do, they give us a place to land for meeting. And here we explore the maps. Tarot, the I Ching, the runes, not as authorities, but as mirrors. What emerges is already there. We're just learning to see it more clearly. If you're walking your own path of integration, if you're caring less than you used to, or if you're simply curious about how structure becomes alive, you're in the right place. Let's begin. Hi, welcome to John's Tarot. Welcome to you from wherever you may be. Thank you very much. Hey, I want to give a quick shout out to Izzy from Australia. I hope you're doing well out there, everybody. So this week, I'm going to talk a little bit about, I've been listening to this guy named Father Chad Rippinger. And Father Rippinger talks about, he's an exorcist, and he talks about, people being possessed by demons and how demons interact with people. And I've been watching him and my own personal experience. First, let me tell you, I'm really not a Christian. And I was raised in a Christian home, and I went to a Christian school for a couple of years as a Catholic. But when it came time for me to get sober, I had so much problems that I went to the Catholic Church, and I didn't go to the priest. I wouldn't, receive communion and did confession, and it didn't help me. I just continued in my same behavior. And I remember one time I was sweeping up around this food truck run by a local Christian organization. And I briefly explained what I was trying to do and, get clean, get sober. And what they told me was, good luck. And which was kind of like what the universe was telling me. If I was going to use that system in order to change my life, good luck. And then I ran into Buddhism. And I got an instant reaction from Buddhism. And I got an instant answer to one of my prayers. And I just kind of look at that like, if there's a God out there, he goes, no, there's a path for you. And this is the path I want you to follow. And it's been useful to me. Anyway, it's this discussion by Father Rappinger that made me come up with this series. I have a 3-part series about symbolism and transformation. So I have my first episode today. So this will be my first episode on that topic, and I have three to go. And really, as I review what happened to me, had I tried to put a 12-step philosophy on the way I personally was using a Christianity, a system that's good core belief system, it wouldn't have worked for me. I would have died. And I had to experiment. I had to find a system that would work for me. And that's how I ended up doing the things I currently do. And according to Father Rappinger, I'm at, what triggered all this, I'm at great risk for demonic possession. And I'll tell you, I've been sober, coming up on 37 years. I went back to school a couple of times. I went to work in mental health after I got a degree in drug and alcohol studies and an associate of arts degree. I went back to school again for nursing, and I've been an RN now since 2000. I'm looking to retire in a couple of years. I've helped a lot of people in my community. I've made a difference in their lives. I stood at the threshold and helped guide them. I have a completely transformed life. But according to Father Rappinger, not so good. I'm at grave risk. I don't know. I've done the best I can, and we're going to go ahead, and I'm going to put up this information, this first video today on symbolic systems. So stay tuned. This will be the first in the series. If you would like to comment on your journey, and I put these up there because not everybody can use the standard journey that is prescribed by our culture. That is the Christian or Catholic journey. According to Father Rappinger, if I am not receiving what really upset me is that if I'm not receiving the Catholic sacraments, I'm probably possessed. I don't feel that way. I've yet to have one of these symbolic systems tell me to do something that was inappropriate or against my integrity. So let me go ahead and run the video, and then we'll do a tarot reading at the end. All right. Thank you. We'll see you at the tarot reading. There came a point in my life where the way I had been taught to understand the world stopped working. Not all at once, but gradually, and then very clearly. The beliefs I was given early in life, my worldview, my assumptions, even the religious framework I inherited no longer helped me make sense of what I was experiencing. And more importantly, they didn't help me move through it. So I was left with a choice. I could either continue trying to force reality to fit a model that no longer worked, or I could begin the difficult process of finding a new way of seeing. This didn't start as an intellectual exercise. I was in a place where I needed something that actually worked. The tools I had weren't enough, so I started searching. What I'm going to share with you in this 3-part series is not a belief system. It's not something to follow. It's a way of looking, a way of using symbolic systems, like the Tao Te Ching, the I Ching, Tarot, and runes, not as prediction, but as tools for reflection. Tools that help me slow down, step back, and begin to see patterns, both within myself and in the world around me. That is part of my story. And most importantly, it's an invitation, not to agree with me, but to begin seeing for yourself. Today I want to talk about something that sits at the center of my own experience over the last several months, maybe even longer. That is how symbolic systems can be used as a guide during transformation. Not as prediction, not as something to follow blindly, but a way of seeing more clearly, especially when life becomes uncertain. Because if you're going through any real transitions, sobriety, loss, identity shifts, you know. There comes a point when your old way of thinking doesn't work anymore, and the new way hasn't fully formed. That space is where this work lives. Transformation is not clean. It's not a straight line. It's not clarity. It's confusion. It's pressure. It's not knowing what to do next. For me, I've experienced that in multiple ways, personally, professionally, and internally. And during those times, I was looking for something to help me orient myself. Not to tell me what would happen, but to help me understand what was happening. That's where systems like the I Ching, the Tao Te Ching, Nordic runes, tarot began to enter my life. And I want to be very clear here. At first I misunderstood them. I thought they were giving me answers. I thought they were telling me what reality was. And maybe they helped me make sense of confusing situations. But in some ways, that actually clouded my thinking. Because when everything feels meaningful, it's very easy to start over-interpreting, to see patterns that may not be grounded, to project meaning onto everything. What changed everything for me was the emergence of what I've been calling the observer. The moment where I realized I am not my thoughts. And not only that, even meaningful thoughts, even symbolic interpretations, are not the final authority. That was a big shift, because now instead of asking, what is this telling me? I started asking, what am I seeing? And how am I interpreting it? That's a very different place to stand. So now, when I work with these systems, I see them differently. They are not giving me truth, predicting outcomes, or directing my life. They're helping me slow down, step back, and start to see patterns more clearly. They give me a way to reflect on what's happening, both internally and externally. They also bring a certain objectivity, a sense of perspective. I can start to see where I'm at in a given situation without being completely caught up in it. And sometimes they'll even suggest a way forward, something that reduces friction. But the choice is always mine. If I had to say it simply, I would say this: these systems help translate truth within mystery. They don't remove the unknown. They help you see more clearly inside of it. Each system does this a little differently. The I Ching shows you the structure of change. It helps you understand where you are in a process, not where it will end. The Tao Te Ching reminds you not to force things, that life doesn't respond well to being controlled or overmanaged. The runes feel more direct, almost like pressure points. They point to underlying forces or tensions in a situation. And when I use runes alongside tarot, something interesting happens. The tarot shows me the archetype, but the runes show me the movement of that archetype, the direction it's taking. And tarot uses imagery, archetypes, to reflect psychology and situational patterns. But here's the important part. None of these are above you. They sit within a larger structure. For me, that structure looks like my 4 pillars: structure, guidance, reflection, and observing the mind. The symbolic systems fit into that. They are the part of the process. They are not the authority. I find them especially useful in reflection and observing the mind, and they can give me guidance as well. So they've been very useful and very helpful. And this is important to say clearly. There is a risk here. At one point, I overinterpreted these systems. I gave them too much weight. And that's where things can become confusing. Because if everything is meaningful, nothing is grounded. The shift came when I realized they're not telling me what reality is. They're helping me see how I am interpreting reality. And I think this is really important. If a system ever tells you something that overrides your integrity or your judgment, that's not guidance. That's something to step back from, because the authority has to remain with you. It's always been, I've been given choices, I've been given insight, but the decision is ultimately mine, and the responsibility for my decisions has always been mine. I'll also say this, because it's been part of my own experience. This hasn't been completely comfortable for me. I come from a more traditional Christian framework, and within that framework, some of these systems are seen as something to avoid. So I had to really look at what I was doing and question it. And what I came to understand is this: there's nothing wrong with that doctrine, but the way I was using it at that time in my life, it wasn't helping me. I didn't have the structure or the awareness to engage with it in the way that led to growth. And when I look at my own history, I can clearly see patterns that weren't resolving. So this wasn't about one system being right and another being wrong. It was about how I was engaged with them. And over time, I found that what I'm doing now is not pulling me away from integrity. It's actually helping me see clearly. Quite frankly, this was the primary system in my family lineage. And from my perspective, I didn't see it being used in a way that led to real change. So I was trying to use something that, at least in my experience, hadn't resolved those patterns in my ancestors either. But I want to be clear, it wasn't the system itself. It was how it was being interpreted and applied. And that's something I've come to see more clearly over time. Any system, if misapplied, can become ineffective. Even recently, I had a moment where I reacted quickly, faster than I would have liked. And that reminded me, these tools are not about becoming perfect. They're about creating space. Space between the trigger and the reaction. And that space is just a second or two, changes everything. So when used correctly, these systems don't lead your life. They don't replace your judgment. They don't remove uncertainty. They help you. They help you to slow down, reflect, and see more clearly, especially when you're in the middle of change. In the end, the goal isn't to become dependent on any system. It's to become someone who can see clearly when life is uncertain. And from that place, you can move forward with a little more steadiness, a little more awareness, and a little more trust in yourself. I hope you enjoyed the little video that I put together. Some of the sound wasn't as good as I would like it, but I think it was adequate. It got my concept across. You know, I really don't use tarot or these symbolic systems to look into other people's business or to forecast the future or things of that nature. Not generally. Sometimes I think that the world is and life is like being in a river. And when you're in a river, the river has a certain flow to it, has a certain power. And if you swim with the river, your life will have an easier course. If you swim against the current of the river, you're going to have a more difficult life course. So what I use the tarot and the symbolic systems for is find out exactly where I am at in the flow, where I'm exactly at in the river. What actions can I take in order to make sure that I have an easier path, an easier life path? And that's what I primarily use the tarot and all the symbolic systems for. My ability to read tarot is a gift, an expression of divine love, and I'm here to share it with you in that same spirit. And I have a tarot reading for everybody today. And this is a 3-card reading, and I'm asking a simple question. I'm asking, how can I use the symbolic systems to help me where I am at right now? That is my question. I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget it. How can symbolic systems help me understand where I am right now? The first card in my 3-card is just going to be a simple 3-card reading. The first card is going to be, where am I? My current position, current state of awareness, what is actually present. And this anchors the listener. 2, what is being revealed, what the system is showing me, what you may not be seeing clearly, what type of emerging awareness. Well, this will reinforce, but not predict. It's more of a reflection. And then 3, how to move forward. What orientation, not outcome, attitude or approach. Next step in awareness. And that's the type of reading I'm going to do today. And I'll throw some runes on it too. Yeah, I was watching this Father Rappinger, and I know I've taken a different course in life. And like I said, had I not taken a different path in life, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have been able to make a difference in the lives of others. I wouldn't have had a full life. And I still have some problems. I wish I could tell you that these symbolic systems have helped me overcome all my problems in life. Have not. I still have some problems, and I still make mistakes. And that's just what it means to be a human being, as far as I understand. I'm never going to be perfect. I'm always going to have some problems. Father Rappinger seems to indicate that if I follow the sacraments of the church, and be delivered from all my sins, I'm going to be a perfect human being. I just don't see that happening in me or in any human being. And I don't know if it's happened in him even. He's obviously a very holy and principled man, and he has seen things that I haven't seen. I don't deal in exorcisms and demons. So how can symbolic systems help me where I'm at right now? And that's right now in my current. Can I see one flying there? Right now where I'm at in my current life, in my current situation. How can how can symbolic systems help me where I am at right now? How can symbolic systems help me where I'm at right now? Cut the deck. And I'll throw some runes on this too. How can it help me where I'm at right now? Symbolic systems. The Nine of Wands. The Four of Swords. And the Three of Wands. I'll throw some runes on this and do the reading. Let me know, where are you at in your journey? Are you in a transition? And what is your way forward? What have you found useful in moving forward in your life, in overcoming any obstacles or problems you may have had in your life? Odin, free up and help guide this reading for the Nine of Wands, Four of Swords, and the Three of Wands. How can symbolic systems help me move forward from where I am at right now? And then for the Nine of Wands, the rune is Orthelio. It has to do with inheritance. And for the Four of Swords, the rune is called Iwas. And for the, you see that one, yeah. And then for the third card, for the Three of Wands, the rune is Uraz. I usually read, I'm doing this a little later in the afternoon. I had a medical appointment today, and I was out running errands, and I'm doing this late in the afternoon. And it'll probably be posted sometime tonight. I've got some things to do. My first card is the Nine of Wands. That is the tarot card of the veteran. And where am I now? I am a veteran of these types of things. Where am I at? I'm experienced. I'm a little beat up and tired, but I'm willing to take on more challenges, and that's what I'm doing here, doing some videos. So that's where I am at right now. And in terms of life, maybe my videos aren't doing as well as I would like, and maybe my podcasts aren't doing as well as what I like, but I think it's worthwhile enough that I'm going to continue doing this in order to help other people. And the rune Orthelio, this has to do with inheritance, history, family. Sometimes you have to let go of things in order that things be stripped away in order for you to collect your full inheritance. And so I'm an experienced warrior. I'm experienced in this types of thing. And I might have to have some things, and this is my inheritance. The whole recovery thing, this whole path has been what I inherited. As I look at my family history, I can go back, oh my God, 3-4 generations. My great-grandfather was a moonshiner and arrested for it. My great-grandmother was a bootlegger and arrested for it. Alcoholism has been in my family for many generations. So I inherited certain things from past generations. And I am the only one in my lineage ever to get sober, ever to have a transformation. And that's why I think it's so important that I'm putting this out there for others who may have been having problems as well. Just because you have a family history of it doesn't mean you have to be damned to it, doesn't mean you have to be sentenced to it. There are other paths forward. And then the second card has to do with what is being revealed. What is being revealed? Well, what has been revealed to me is certainly the past family history of unsuccessful pattern changing using the standard systems available in Western civilization. And you know what I'm referring to. I had to choose another path. And my past ancestors didn't have those tools available to them. What is being revealed to me? I think what they would be revealing to me is that they would approve of what I've done, that I've been able to resolve the family history, the family problems, and I think they would approve. They would say, "Yeah, you did a good job." If I were to look back and ask my great great moonshiner grandfather, he would say, "No, no, you did what you needed to do to have a good life." And then where am I at right now? What do I need to do in order to what is being revealed right now? I'm kind of in a holding pattern. I'm waiting on the will of heaven. The rune is called. Well, I'm always forgetting. The rune is called Iwaz. I'm kind of, I'm moving forward. More is being revealed, but I'm kind of in a waiting period. I'm waiting for things to change. I'm in a transitionary period in terms of work, in terms of my career, in terms of my general life. I'm certainly in a bit of a transitionary period, and I'm waiting to move forward, and I'm waiting for the way forward to reveal itself. And then this one here, the Three of Wands with Uraz, and that has to do with how do I what do I need to do to move forward? What I need to do to move forward, I need to watch. I've made some decisions. I'm standing there looking over at some of the decisions I've made, wondering what kind of outcomes I'm going to have to, what kind of changes I am going to have to make to achieve the outcomes I want to achieve. And I'm sitting there looking, and I'm waiting for some signal from the universe. And the rune Uraz is, you want to create change in your life. The rune Uraz, you want to create change, you're going to have to do some work, buddy. And that's what I'm going to have to do if I want to create any change in my life. So, work.
The pain.
That's what I say about work. So for now, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up for this week.
Goodbye, Professor Marvel, and thanks a lot.
Well, it was my pleasure. I hope you enjoyed my little podcast. Let me know from where you're at in the world. I fully expect I'm going to receive some flack as a result of this podcast, and I know it's going to be a little controversial. That's just the way it has to be for me. I'm okay with that. Send me an email. Let me know what your controversy is. I could be found at johnstarot.net. You can send me an email at john@johnstarot.net, and I'll read some of the emails off. Or if you want to send me in an email with your location, I will, I'll give you a shout out, and with your location, you send me your location, and I'll send you a little shout out at the beginning of the podcast. So until next week, be careful, be cool, be kind. Remember, have courage, find faith, and I will see you all again next week. All right, bye-bye.